So, a couple of people have probably seen my video on the Skyebrow video. I finally did some reactions to him because, like, dude's awesome. Love his art, love his stuff. A couple of people were pointing out some stuff when I did a reaction that I didn't know nor understand. One of them that was the most by far commented on was the Streisand effect, which I've heard that, like, in I guess way to put it is pop culture osmosis, is like it is permeated around me, and I've heard people talk about, oh, it's the Streisand effect. I'm like, the fuck is the Streisand effect? I never bothered. But apparently that picture in the song, where it's like a high-up picture of the Streisand effect, is what it is like we're actually talking about. It's like that's what actually. But well, anyway, I've been looking up details on it, and I decided to find a video to help tell me what it is. So this is the Streisand effect explained. This is by George Rockall Schmidt, 315,000 subscribers. 8 years ago, I made this video, 496,000 views. And he's pretty much talking about the Streisand effect. Now, I know who Barbra Streisand is, actress, singer. Most people modern days know her for her constant inclusion in, like, South Park, like Mecha Streisand and stuff like that. Like, most people don't know her old stuff because, like, she was doing acting way back, like, in the 70s and 80s, like, early 80s. So, like, most people don't really know her nowadays. No offense to her. But it's interesting exactly what happened. So we're going to find this out, have a little history lesson on what the hell is the Streisand effect.
Imagine you're a high schooler and you see something written on the bathroom wall about you, something you don't like, and you immediately go looking for the school principal, who you find giving an assembly to the entire school. But you can't wait for the assembly to be over. You've got to go up to them now and whisper into their ear that there's something terrible written about you in the bathroom, and you want it scrubbed. You want it scrubbed now. Even though the rest of the school might not have heard what you said, even though they may not have heard any information at all, they get the gist of it. What's their first move? Well, obviously, they want to
run
know
into the
what's written in
bathroom, take a picture.
And obviously, they're gonna find out. In a very simplistic way, that's the Streisand effect. The most self-inflicted of PR disasters since Calvin Klein's rapey videographer ads of the 90s.
What?
Have you ever made love in a film?
Yes.
You have?
I'm an actress.
Oh, yeah.
Ew.
The Streisand effect is when an attempt to suppress any information in any form ends up making that information more sought after and probably more found.
Pretty much
It's like when a horror
everything
movie
ever.
gets banned for being too nasty. More people want to
Or a
see
book
it,
is burned,
and it probably just helps
or banned.
sales. The Streisand effect is named after Michael Rooker. Really. Obviously, it's named after Barbra Streisand. I'm sorry I have to condescend to you in that way. In 2002, the California Records Project was established with the intent to make a photographic history of the California coastline, particularly looking at coastal erosion, taking a photograph from a helicopter every 500 feet or so.
Oh,
One
interesting.
of these photographs included Fortress Streisand. Here's the
Fortress.
photo. Now, in all the
there it
articles
is.
I've found with this photo attached, they always say this is a picture of her Malibu house, but they never say which one of these houses is Barbra Streisand's, so I assume it's the one with the trampoline. Streisand took issue with what she thought was a breach of privacy, and in fairness to her, I can see how burglars might use it to plan their way in what I call Operation Get Down Her Chimney. It's a very
Which
literal
one?
title. Streisand decided to sue for a very not insane $50 million. By the time she filed the
damn.
lawsuit, the image had been downloaded from Kenneth and Gabrielle Edelman's webpage, where it was originally posted, a total of 6 times. 2 of those times were by Streisand's lawyers. I don't know why they needed to download it twice. Maybe they needed to print it twice.
Probably
Anyway,
2 separate lawyers
exposure
from a
had been
different set.
minimal
Oh, wait,
until
sorry.
Streisand
Sorry. I always forget this part.
filed her lawsuit and knowledge of the case went public. Over 400,000 people visited the site in the following month.
The fuck?
Ahoy,
I'm
hoy.
gonna ask you a series of questions.
Oh, history joke. Let me explain. Oh, I can't remember who the guy's name. Let me double check his name. Oh no. I remember. So when you were a young child, I'm sure you've heard the story of Alexander Graham Bell, the man that invented the telephone. When he invented it, people asked him, how should you respond when you pick up the phone? That was his response. He said that instead of just saying hello, when you pick up the phone, you should reply, ahoy, ahoy. So that's actually a historical reference to Alexander Graham Bell. That's clever. I like that.
If you answer them honestly,
I think you must have the wrong number. It's a very similar number to Domino's.
Which one you are. Lazy minds are the opposite of.
That's a reference. I don't know what it is. My apologies.
Times. Beyonce tried to suppress photos of her looking weird. Traffic-Eura took out an injunction preventing journalists reporting that Traffic-Eura had dumped 500 tons of toxic waste on the Ivory Coast, killing 17 people. Hugh Bonneville took out an injunction to prevent people reporting that he'd paid a prostitute to fuck his married ass. Only one of those stories is news, and here's a hint, it's not the one about Hugh Bonneville getting fucked up his ass. Or it wouldn't be if Hugh Bonneville hadn't tried to strangle the story and stop journalists reporting it. Is it newsworthy? No, it's not. It's a man's private business. And
it's when you make a fuss that things get worse.
Or anything like that. I don't care what Hugh Bonneville shoves up his ass, unless it's some sort of record breaker or it's my keys.
Or a hamster.
Where are my keys? But I do care about the
Bonneville's
ability of
ass.
journalists to report, even if what they're reporting is asinine bollocks. Because, you know, maybe one day, with rules that protect people like Hugh Bonneville or Elton John, a journalist with an important story to tell will be prevented from doing so. Traffic-Eura. The injunction is a very English problem, and I think a much more relevant example might be people using YouTube's copyright claim system to stifle criticism.
Oh, now we're getting topical.
Fair use of copyright, other than to say that the idea of fair use is that you can argue that you can use bits of other people's content in your own YouTube videos if you use them in a transformative way or in a way that educates.
I kind of feel called out. Hey, man. Hey, I'm pausing. I'm stopping. I have the captions on. Dude made this 8 years ago. I'm not freaking taking shit from him. I am commenting. I'm playing by the rules. You have nothing. Nothing.
Or you don't get caught. The system seems to be a lot like a modern war. There's lots of hits,
it's always like
lots of misses, and there's a hell of a lot of friendly fire. The example perhaps most prominent is that of Digital Homicide's suing of video game pundit Jim Sterling, which occurred after Sterling criticised one of the studio's games. The case was after some time dismissed.
What the hell was that in his hand?
In saying that Digital Homicide sued Sterling because they didn't like what he said. And because
they do that all the time.
To get his critical video taken down failed and turned into an almighty backlash, they were, in legal terms, properly butthurt. They tried to make the issue, as so many often do on YouTube, about copyright. But really, I would argue, it was all about trying to stifle negative criticism. And that's why now I bring up the Matt Hoss case, which I'll explain in a moment. I really had to think about including the Matt Hoss versus the World saga here, because he tried to block a video and then he sued someone for copyright infringement, which you might argue was an attempt to stifle negative criticism. However, it didn't blow the video up. The video in question was already very popular. But his actions may not have directly led to the video getting more attention, but it did lead to him getting a lot more attention.
Yeah, you're just putting a spotlight on yourself.
H3H3 is a YouTube channel that, amongst other things, takes a look at offbeat channels and usually takes the piss out of them in a tongue-in-cheek and usually playful way. That's certainly what they did with Matt Hoss's channel, where he, amongst other things, shows off his parkour and chats up the women's. Hoss filed a civil action against H3H3 for copyright infringement in late April 2016. He went from getting hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of views, to tens of thousands, most of which seem to be people who've gone there just to hate. There's nothing quite like a self-inflicted wound.
Don't do that.
Except maybe when somebody twists the knife they've already fallen on. I bring up Matt Hosseinzadeh because he's very interesting. And he's very interesting because of his apparent insistence
kind of old
that he
YouTube.
doesn't care about the backlash. He's got videos prodding the lawsuit.
And that I will remain standing until the end, when my rights to my property have been restored and justice has prevailed.
And a video looking at hate comments.
Kill yourself, Matt Hoss.
Oof.
I'm impressed. If you look at the numbers, those are 2 very successful hashtags. Your videos make me wish ISIS executed you on camera.
Yeah, Warshaw
Wow.
ducks back, clearly. Anyway, as I said, this technically isn't the Streisand effect in motion. It's just got elements of it.
I
And
can
even
see
though
that.
this isn't the same thing as the Church of Lafayette trying to delete videos of Tom
Oh,
Cruise
that
and just getting
nonsense.
them a million more views. If I were to write a book called Dealing with the Fallout of Your Bullshittery, Matt Hoss is the example I would give of how not to handle the Streisand effect, or any self-inflicted PR nightmare.
Another good example of this is like, historically speaking, is the Satanic Verses. It was a book that was very critical of Islam, and the Islamic community wanted it banned, hated it, burned. Then death threats against the guy who like actually wrote it. It's like Salman Rushdie or something. Like that was another example of it. Another example of it was Birth of a Nation when it came out in like, what was it, 1908 or something. You know, it displayed the Ku Klux Klan in a favorable nature. What most people don't tell you about that history part of it is that the black community heavily protested against it. And like, it actually made the movie more popular because like of the racial tensions at the time. This happens a lot. A lot of times if you don't handle it the right way, you can often make your enemy more powerful, or you can often like make what you want hidden or destroyed actually just gain more support and gain more attention. So you have to be careful about this stuff.
Just like accidentally shooting yourself in the face, or realizing one day that all the attention your brand's getting is because its logo is a flaming swastika, prevention is the best cure. Well, that's it for this bizarre summary. Join me next time for another look at something weird and wonderful in this freaky world of ours. Don't forget to subscribe.
We'll go for a nice drive through the west side, have some cookies and ice cream, and maybe park on Mulholland Drive, where we can make out.
Back away from the phone. I have no clue. That's a video. That was 8 years ago he made that. L. There you go, man. One more extra like. Oh my god. The world's a weird place, especially YouTube. Also, please don't copyright me. Thank you.